Hello and welcome everyone to the Birthplace of Country Music Museum, where we're sharing today some highlights from our current special exhibit, Honky Tonk Portraits of Country Music 1972 to 1981, featuring the photography of Henry Horenstein. This exhibit has been with us since September of last year. It is going to close on March 28th. That's the last day you can see it. So we're encouraging everyone to get inspired by this highlights tour, just seeing a few little bits and pieces from the exhibit, but then to come down and visit us as soon as you have a chance. Henry Horenstein is a photographer who has been working in the field for many years and on many different subjects. He got his start at the University of Chicago with a history degree and at the Rhode Island School of Design as a photography degree. But he worked a lot for Rounder Records, preparing and photographing for their publicity photos and for their album covers. He also has done a huge amount of work just on his own because this is something he was interested in. He saw this as a disappearing world, and the photographs you see in this exhibit run from 1972 to 1981, and he wanted to be sure that he had the chance to commit those wonderful things, the artists and the venues, to film and to memory so that they wouldn't disappear completely. You can see that throughout the gallery we have 27 photographs. Some of them are of stars and icons of country music. For instance, Loretta Lynn. This is taken in 1975, the coal miner's daughter, of course. And, fans will remember her and have loved to follow her throughout her life and her career. It's also looking at some of the venues and some of the people and the fans who were there. For instance, this one is of the Lone Star Ranch in 1975, a family who has gone there. It was a country music park so that they could listen to country music but also hang out together as a family. This is also from Lone Star Ranch in 1972, a couple dancing to the music of Webb Pierce, who was there as a live performance. That was a really common thing at these country music parks. You get to see all sorts of wonderful stars. And then, of course, our very own Dolly Parton. This is from 1972 at Symphony Hall in Boston. There's not much to say because everyone knows Dolly. She's an icon here in East Tennessee and globally, but this is her in the years when she was with Porter Wagoner. Another venue that's really focused on is the Ryman Auditorium. This, of course, was where from 1943 until 1974, the Grand Ole Opry was held here. This picture here is of Archie Campbell at the Ryman during the Grand Ole Opry, reaching down to shake a fan's hand. That idea of not getting above your raising and still being accessible and open to your fans. And of course, Archie Campbell was well known for his work on the Grand Ole Opry and in Hee Haw. This is a picture of a couple of women standing backstage at the Grand Ole Opry and the Ryman. They look a little bit they've got some fierce expressions on their faces, but I think they've probably just enjoyed a good show. Another venue that is ever present in the world of honky tonk is Tootsie's Orchid Lounge in Nashville, just outside the backstage door of the Ryman. And of course, this is a last call. So the very end of the night when Tootsie's getting ready to start prodding and poking people out the door and getting them up out of their booths, but someone's obviously had a good night in this photograph. But Tootsie's not only hosted people, the stars of the show and the stars from the Ryman who often came in here before or after their performances, but also a lot of unknown wannabe bands or smaller bands. And for instance, here we have someone who's walking around saying that the band plays for tips only and to give them a little bit of love for their performance. Other honky tonks are not just a Southern thing. I mean, you might assume that honky tonks are just a Southern thing, but they've cropped up all over the country. This one is of a harmonica player at a honky tonk, Merchant's Cafe in Nashville, but of course there were others in other places. This is 1974 where he's just taken a moment to play his harmonica. And then of course, because Henry Horenstein was doing this promotional work and cover artwork for Rounder Records, he often encountered stars in their homes. And this one, for instance, is Don Stover at home. And he worked in Boston at the Hillbilly Ranch for over 18 years. This is his first LP album cover. He was a bluegrass banjo player, but this was going to be the cover album image. But also, again, it's just this idea that the honky tonk, it feels like something that only happened in the past, that honky tonks are something of fading Americana, but there are still honky tonks out there. A lot of towns probably still have them, and in fact, this one here is the Wolf Den in Louisiana in 2008. A man standing with his guitar that says "Thanks" on the back. So they're not just a part of the past, they're still part of people's lives. Not only did we have the photographs, but we also had a host of objects in the exhibit. For instance, here we have some promotional posters and songbooks and records from various early artists that sort of touched on the honky-tonk style of music, including, of course, Hank Williams, but also some lesser-known people like the Jolly Sisters and Cowboy Dick Carson. This was on loan to us from two local collectors, Bailey George and Jessica Stiles. We also got this wonderful Roy Acuff fiddle on loan from the East Tennessee Historical Society, along with a letter where it's a letter from Roy Acuff to the person that he gave it to, who then later it came to the East Tennessee Historical Society. This has been a really great one to have in the exhibit because of Roy Acuff's stature within the history of country music, the king of country. And here you see a very intricate and wonderfully embellished guitar that was owned and played by Waylon Jennings. We have a picture of Waylon Jennings in the exhibit, so this is great that we're able to also show a guitar on loan to us from Hard Rock International. But I think it's just wonderful, this guitar, because of that embellishment, that black and white leather decoration just makes it really stand out and really unusual. So that has been an interesting sort of connection to the exhibit and the photographs from Henry Horenstein. We also have some clothes that various artists have worn. To the left, you have a shirt worn by Johnny Cash, designed by Nudie Cone, that he wore. And what's really exciting is that we have the shirt on loan to us from the Hard Rock International, but we had in our own collection pictures of him wearing that same shirt when he was at the Carter Fold just up the road in Hiltons, Virginia. So that was a nice connection for us. And the vest, the suede vest on the right, is from Loretta Lynn's, one of Loretta Lynn's stage costumes, also on loan from the Hard Rock International. Next, we have something a little bit different that you might not have seen before. It's a Mando Guitar. It was owned by Hank Thompson, and it's a combination, just what it sounds like, mandolin guitar. Hank Thompson was a Country Music Hall of Famer, and this is on loan to us from another local collector, Dallas Wayne, and we're very grateful for the institutions and the local collectors who have helped us to supplement Henry Horenstein's photographs with some really interesting objects. And in the background, you can see a Hank Williams guitar, also from Hard Rock International. And finally, a live working jukebox that was in the exhibit and is still in the exhibit. We've periodically had it available to be played by patrons, so they've been able to put their coin in and play a song on the jukebox. That's been very cool. But also we had two panels that sort of just explained what honky-tonk music is, what that style or genre comes from, and how it is characterized. And that was, again, we got local DJ Boppin' Bailey George to share his thoughts on that. He hosts the Honky Tonk Hit Parade on Radio Bristol, so he is well versed in honky tonk style music. And the jukebox itself is a Seaberg Golden Jet circa 1970. It's got the great sort of lights and shiny chrome, but then, the individual records, all 45s that were inside, that you could then press the button, choose which one you wanted to play, and then it would set that 45 into the turntable ready to be played. And it was filled by our generous loaner with honky-tonk tunes specifically, so to go along with the exhibits. That was a really nice thing for us to be able to add into the exhibit, and something definitely worth coming to see. As you can see from this just short highlight tour, there's so many interesting photographs, interesting stories. wonderful objects that sort of go along with that and supplement the stories being told in those photographs and the panels and text captions. As I mentioned earlier, this exhibit is only with us through March 28th. It is well worth seeing. If you are local or not that far away and want to come see us, I would really recommend it. We would love to share it with you.